Spice Island in the Pot is brought to you by Stumpy's Emporium and the Penny Savers Supermarket.
A warm and fuzzy welcome to Spice Island in the Pot. I am your food designer, Arlene, bringing to you food fun in local and gourmet dishes with fresh ingredients and easy cooking methods. We have been having some pretty shady weather lately. Rain all day, rain half day, rain in the night. And so it's making it a little chilly, a nice chill kind of time. And so we need some rainy day remedies for that, don't we? So today, that's exactly what we're making. We're making soup today. Not to mention, it's Saturday, and soup is a Saturday tradition for sure. We are going to make traditional corn soup with little cornmeal dumplings floating up in that nice, good mixture, nice and hot. And then the gourmet twist to that, I'm just going to cream things up a little bit and do some creamy chicken and broccoli soup. And I'm going to serve that with something that's a little surprise that we all know and love. So let me get my first set of ingredients together for that corn soup. We're going to start bubbling that soup. Okay, so we're going to start with our corn soup. Now, corn soup was actually a staple for the Native American tribes. So, of course, the Seneca Indian made corn soup for special occasions, religious ceremonies, etc. So can you imagine going into church and you're being greeted with a little bowl of corn soup? That should be really nice, of course. So this is a one-pot meal. Simple ingredients, simple cooking, easy cleanup. So we're going to start with, of course, the fresh seasoning. Always fresh, always local seasoning. Now, I usually get these here at the Penny Savers. So it has garlic, spring onion or chive, shadow benny, pimentos, and thyme. There's a little bit of everything in here. And for soup, there's a way that I like to chop my seasoning. I use the food processor and I get it like this. So it's not blended and really small, but it's not in big chunks either. It's a nice kind of medium size kind of chop. And you want to get all the seasoning chopped like this because then it floats around in the soup and it looks really good. Then I like to add to my corn soup, the only vegetable I add would be some carrots. And I dice my carrots kind of evenly, all one side so they cook evenly. And then of course you don't want to balance a whole slice of carrots on a spoon. So you have to cut them really nicely. Same with my corn. I'm using corn on the cob and you can use just a loose corn if you like, but I like, keeping in tradition and, looks better this way in my opinion. So I use corn. Now corn is seasonal, so sometimes you don't always drive down the highway with the man in the pickup truck trying to sell this corn. You don't always get that. So for when we don't have that, I go to Penny Savers and I get frozen corn. And they're cleaned and packaged out really nicely in the freezer section, so I get that. They come a little bigger, but I like to cut mine down a little smaller just, for eating comfort. And what I do for my corn soup is I boil this separately in some fresh seasoning water and a little bit of salt. So I boil this until it's soft and then it's going to finish its process when I make the soup. So all good soups require a base and my base is really simple and it could go for different types of soup as well. So we're going to start here. This is about a pound of split peas, the yellow ones, because it comes in green as well. And it's about a pound of pumpkin as well. So what I do is that I boil this together into this soft, mushy kind of almost a puree kind of consistency. Now, some people use it just like this. For me, I like my only texture in my soup to be my added vegetables and stuff. So I like to puree mine so the background of my soup is kind of smooth and nice. And what's really good about this base is that you can make this and you can put them in little bags and freeze them. So every time you make soup, you don't have to start all the way from the base. Now, I always recommend fresh pumpkin for this. I believe that if you're making the base of anything, it should be as fresh as possible and then you can store it. So we're going to blend this up first. Here into the blender. Now you let this cool down to the time that you can manage it. So this is still warm. You don't want it to get cold because it just kind of clumps together and it becomes kind of stiff. You still want this nice kind of consistency that you can get into the blender. And you can see my nice chunks of pumpkin in there. So all of that is going to be really smooth when we're done. So I'm just going to spoon this in. We're going to keep some for the soup today, and we're going to store some in my little bags. I think we can pour this in now. Careful. Right, so I don't want to fill it up too much. Okay, so if you're doing this and it's still really warm, you want to put a little cloth on top of your blender so it doesn't splash up and burn your hands. And you want to pulse it a little bit first before you let it go all the way. So you can do this side. So this is the consistency you're going to get. Nice and smooth and silky. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour out some of this. See, I have my little Ziploc bags here and I have labeled it so I know what it is. You ever have a whole bunch of stuff in your freezer and you just don't know what anything is? So you need to get a little permanent marker and label your bags. So I'm just going to fill in this. And you don't want to fill the bag too much, you want to leave a little space. So I think this is just about perfect here. Good. And this goes into the freezer, so the next time we are making soup, you just have to pull this out, get to defrost, and start your soup. Easy, quick, and simple. I'm gonna set this aside. I'm just gonna finish blend this, and then we're gonna start making the rest of this soup. Okay. Now when you're boiling that base, it takes a little while, so you can put it on a medium fire, halfway cover the pot, and go about other things while that is happening. Okay, that's that. So for the soup, I'm using this pot, I'm making about 6 moderate portions, right? So for 6 moderate portions, you need about 1 cup of your base. So 1 cup, right. Now this is also gonna thicken the soup. So if you like really thin soup, then you use a little less. But what I like to do is, even though I put my 1 cup in here with my other ingredients, add my water and everything, as the soup cooks, if you feel like you want it to be a little thicker, you can always add more of your base. So it's like a thickener as well. So my base is in here. Now, when I boiled my corn, I kept the water because it's already seasoned, has the corn flavor, so that it's only going to do is help the soup. That's all that's going to do. So I'm going to put all my corn in. There we go. And for my carrots, see, I already started. So this is how I like to cut my carrots, and they're generally even size. So to get this, I have one more to do. I just wanted to show you. So to get this, we're going to peel them, scrape them, all over. There we go. Just wanted to share with you how I get the nice dices in case. Okay, let me put this in here. A little messy. Now I'm very specific with my corn soup. Every time I leave the country and come back, I expect my mother to make me some good corn soup because it revitalizes you. You know, you feel kind of good, refreshed when you go out there and take in all these different elements. It's a really good revival for that. So with my carrot, I'm cutting it down in half. If you're not knife confident, you can make them shorter. So I'll make them shorter, just like this. And if it's a really big carrot, I go 3, but if it's small like this one, I'm gonna do just 2, down like this, and then you get a nice flat stand right here, and then you can take your time and go in. And there's no rush, you can take your time and make your little dices like this. So it's that easy to make little diced carrots. So I'm just gonna do this. I just wanted to show you in terms of size and method how you can get this done. So that's carrots for that there. Now, I'm gonna put a little bit of my seasoning. So you season as you go. So right now, the only thing that has salt here is the corn. So we're gonna put a little bit of the fresh seasoning. This is about 2 to 3 tablespoons I'm adding, and you wanna keep it because you're gonna gradually wanna season as you go, as you add different things. Then a little bit of salt. So it's a big pot of soup, so this is about a little less than a tablespoon, and then you, like I said, you add as you go. Now, I like a little kick, so I will put a little pinch of my chili flakes, or your favorite local pepper sauce will work. Right, so then we're gonna top this up with some water, like so. And a good average after you've added all your ingredients would be to roughly do, if you're doing 6 portions, then you can start with about 6 to 8 cups of water. But you basically want to get all your ingredients covered. So that is there. Start looking good already. Colors, yellow, orange from the carrots, green from the seasoning. Now, we're going to put this up on the stove. You're going to boil this, finish cooking the corn, getting all the seasoning in, and then at the last 10 minutes of the soup, you add your cornmeal dumplings. So I'm going to get this up on the stove, medium fire. Oh, it's a little heavy. Medium fire, and then I'm going to come back to some dumplings. The corn soup is on the stove. It's bubbling really nicely, getting all the flavors in there. Final addition is the cornmeal dumplings. So I have 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour and 1/2 cup of cornmeal, which is optional. I like to give it a little texture, and plus it gives it a really nice color as well. And this is a very simple, easy thing to make. We've done this 100 times before, I'm sure. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt to this, just about a pinch or 2. And I'm gonna mix all the dry ingredients together. Get that nice and going. And we really just want a little bit. You don't want to put a whole lot of dumplings, you know? Nice, you have to be considerate of what is going to be served in the bowl, how much carrots, how much dumplings, how much corn and stuff like that. So this is not going to be a lot of dumplings. So I'm going to mix this into a nice stiff dough. So I'm going to start with a little bit of water and get that going like this. There we go. So immediately it's beginning to come together. And I know sometimes we do all different shapes of dumplings for different things, squares, circles. And a lot of times in soup, I see these little fingers that I don't like. You know, where you just gotta roll it like this and drop it in, and it looks like a little finger like this. I don't really like that, so I cut mine up really small, so it's a little more attractive. So this dough is coming together nice. It's gonna be a nice stiff dough. It's already coming in nice right there. I just need a little bit of water to get the rest of this in. Just a little bit. Roll it out. There we go. Nice stiff. See the color that the cornmeal gives to the flour, nice texture. And everywhere that you can add a little bit of nutrients in your dishes, definitely feel free to do that. Oh, I went a little heavy with the water, which is why my dry flour is on the side, in case you go a little wet. Okay, this is going to be good here now. So, with that corn soup getting ready there, remember we pre-cooked the corn, so that is halfway done. So it's really just to get all the flavors together. We did the base, we added the carrots. When those carrots become chewable, you know, not mushy and soft, you don't want like a, you know, you want it to have a little stamina in the soup. So once the carrots come that way, then you know it's close to being ready. And dumplings, when you cut them the way I'm going to do them, they're going to cook up really fast, and then your soup will be ready. So this is a really nice dough. See it here? Nice, kind of stiff, not hard like rock, but not soft and wet. So to roll these out, just make some space here. I'm going to put a little flour on my plate, which is where I'm going to cut them and put them up. Put my board together. And I'm going to just pinch off a little piece. And we're going to just roll this into a long, skinny hand, if you will. Right, so get this like this. This doesn't have to be neat. There's actually something you can have, like, you know, if you have a daughter or a son and they're helping you in the kitchen, this is actually fun for kids. I remember I used to have to do this a lot. Every Saturday when it's soup time, I get a little stool, I pull up on the counter, I get my little bowl, and I get to roll out all the dumplings for the soup. So this is actually a nice way to bond with the kids and give them something to do, and they get to help out. So this is a nice, long, skinny finger, hand, whichever you want to call it. And then I'm just going to cut little bite-sized dumplings like this. And this looks really nice in the soup instead of, you know, different sizes. Dry flour helps it from sticking together. This also helps with the thick consistency of the soup. So even in starting out, you don't want to start out really thick because flour is going to thicken that soup up really nice. And then, you know, if you want it a little thinner, you just add a little seasoned water to it. So this is how we're going to do our dumplings for that soup. So I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to show you how you can actually store dumplings in the freezer for a later date. So we're always trying to get like a little shortcut because, you know, not every day you're going to want to need a handful of flour just for some dumplings, you know. Long ago, my grandmother used to cook from scratch every day. Every day fresh, every day. When I come home from school, there's fresh food. But, you know, this time we don't have that kind of luxury. Well, not everybody has that kind of luxury. So this is all I'm going to use for my corn soup. Just a little bit here. Right. So when it's the right time, we'll get this into the pot. So storing is really simple. If you wanted to store them in that size, or you just wanted like a flat, round dough, I would say you make your little balls like this, and simply press them out like so. There. Just little round dumplings like this. And even if you made them like this and you wanted to go back into soup, you can just cut them a little smaller. So you place these in a nice little container. Don't stack them one on top of each other because they're going to just stick together, but you spread them out nicely in a container, put them in the freezer. When you're ready to cook them up again, you get a pot of boiling water and you just add them in. Simple, easy, great way to store your dumplings. So that being said, I'm going to check on my soup, see if it's ready for the dumpling action, and then it's going to be all done in just a few minutes. Just quick like that. Okay, let's go. Okay, so our soup has been bubbling on the stove here for about 30-35 minutes. So are you ready? Here we go. Now, immediately, the smell jumps out at you. The whole place smelling like good corn soup. So the colors are in there, the yellow of the corn, the orange of the carrots. You see my seasonings are still floating around. It hasn't totally dissolved. I'm going to give it a little stir. Now I quite like this consistency. I don't like thick corn soup. I like a nice thin soup, right? So this is really good. There's enough liquid in there and it's matching up nicely with the vegetables. So I'm going to add my dumplings in. See my little dumplings? They're going to be nice and neat in there. Don't forget the flour that from the dumpling is actually going to thicken this up a little bit. So don't be too rushed to add any more of that base to thicken it up. It's going to get a little more body when these are in. And I remember when I used to go clubbing. I say used to like I'm so old. I still go once in a while, but before, when I was younger in my 20s, I used to go to the club, and right downstairs used to have a corn soup man. When I tell you, you take a break from all that partying and you go downstairs, you get a good hot cup of corn soup, and then you're ready to go again. So that's how we used to party and eat long time. So this is actually good street food. You know, it's everywhere. Every party, sometimes in the most formal functions, you're seeing corn soup being served. So that's how important corn soup is in this island, this country. So my dumplings are in. And I'm just going to give this a little stir to make sure that nothing sticks together. Now this part is important. So I'm going to cover my pot halfway like this so that it doesn't bubble and go all over the stove and then I have a big cleanup. So we're going to leave so a little air gets in there. It's not going to be under pressure. I'm going to lower my stove just a little bit because we want it to kind of simmer, finish getting all the flavors in. You want to also flavor the dumplings a little bit. So this is going to be on here for another 20 to 30 minutes depending on your stove. A good way to know that it's finished when you're checking your dumplings, it's going to be kind of hard. It's not going to be really soft and mushy because we made a really good dumpling dough. So I'm going to leave this here for that time. When it's finished, we're going to get a little bowl, scoop some in there, taste it, see how it goes. This is going to be a really good corn soup. Okay, so our soup is ready. There we go. Smells so good. So I have my trusty ladle. I'm just gonna give this a little stir so when I scoop, I can scoop a little bit of everything. And here's my bowl. So scoop like this. Nice. I want some carrots in there. So it's raining outside. This feels like a little blanket when you have it. There we go. Perfect. Feels just like a blanket. It's rainy outside. You want to snuggle up on the couch, watch a good show. This is a perfect, light, healthy meal. If you want to have a little piece of bread on the side, you can do that as well. So let me taste this. It's going to be a little hot. Really good. I'm getting the flavor of the corn throughout the entire broth of the soup. My carrots are nice, tender, perfectly cooked, but not smushy and soft, so it's going to have a little crunch, a little nice tenderness to it. My corn is also perfectly cooked, and my dumplings, as you can see here, nice, small. I can even fit 2 on a spoon, so it's nice and eat friendly. So this was my corn soup. Coming up next, we're going to do the creamy chicken and broccoli soup. And like I said, all soup needs a good base. So the base of this soup is going to be a really exciting one. So when we come back, we're going to get that started.